Hello, welcome to More Yoga with me, Emily. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope that you're well and ready for something I'm about to say a little bit different, but maybe you do this all the time. For me, it's a little bit different. It's funny, through COVID, I haven't actually taken a yoga class from another teacher. Like, yeah, since maybe February 2020. And it's usually where I get inspiration from, right? We get inspiration from our colleagues all the time. And then the same thing with yoga. Like, oh yeah, I remember that yoga pose, or man, that was a really great sequence. I want to, riff on that in my classes. So it's been challenging for me to think of new stuff. And it's not like you get stuck in a rut. I mean, there's only so much to draw from in yoga anyway. So anyway, today we're going to work on some humble warriors, which I think it's been about a year since I taught them, because they can be pretty intense, especially on the shoulders. So you need to be ready for that. You got to be warm. It's also hecka deep on the hips. So it'll be good, right? It's kind of like a hips class. It's kind of like a shoulders class. If you have a strap, they can be really useful here, particularly if binding your hands or your elbows behind your back doesn't work for you on your body, right? It's something that's going to be really tight through the front of the shoulders and the chest. The strap is going to give you that little bit of extra reach. And it's almost like giving you longer arms. And so it'll make it easier. So I will show you both variations and we will work through them. Anyway, that's about all I need to say about that. So let's start on our backs. You know me, that's my favorite place to start. That or seated. And then take your time setting up. You might need to release some little kinks or tightnesses in the body. And depending on how your low back feels today, it might feel totally fine to have your legs extended. Maybe it feels better to have your knees bent, in which case I'd recommend taking your feet, a little bit wider than your hips or even mat width apart and allow the knees to hang in toward each other. And that way it takes any of the muscular activation here out of it, right? Because if the legs are separated, you're constantly having to use the muscles in slight contractions to prevent the knees from flinging out to the side or prevent them from caving in. So just let them cave in entirely. Alternatively, maybe it feels really good to bring the soles of your feet together and the knees wide in a supine butterfly position. This can be really intense, right? So it's a great place to bring blocks or pillows underneath your knees or thighs. Anyway, wherever you need to be, wherever you want to be. Once you've found that position, for 3 breaths, inhale through your nose and exhale, sigh your breath away. 2 more. Continue breathing however you need to, whether it's in and out through your nose or your mouth. And I encourage you to close your eyes if they're not already. And it helps withdraw the senses from the outside world and bring them into your inside world. And then notice how your breath feels today. Does it feel really open and spacious? Then great. Acknowledge that for whatever it's worth. Maybe you notice some sticky or choppy spots along the way, in which case you could gently try to lengthen through those parts of the breath just to smooth it out a little bit more. There's no need to force a deeper breath, though. You might notice the gentle rise and fall of your belly or your chest. The widening of your rib cage with every inhale. The softening of your body with every exhale. The last few breaths here. And then start to bring a little bit of movement back to your body. In whatever way feels best for you to wake up, depending on where your legs are. It might take more or less time to ease them out of the position that they're in. And then gently draw your knees toward your chest and take a little rock from side to side. You can take circles here with the legs. You might extend your legs up to the sky. Just kind of loosen up and move however you need to move. And then pause in the center. Keep holding on to your right knee or shin and release your left leg to the floor. And if you can, extend your left leg away from you and turn the toes out to the side. So there's a little bit of external rotation on that back leg. Reach the heel away from you and draw that right knee in toward you a little bit more. Little gentle squeeze here. Last couple breaths, you might gently curl your nose toward your knee. Essentially, this is like a humble warrior position, except your leg would be like this. Cool, huh? All right. And then let's switch sides. Shake out the legs a little bit. Interlace your hands over top of that left leg and draw the knee in toward you a little bit more. You might stay here, or maybe you extend that right leg on the floor. Really reach the heel away from you and turn your toes out to the right. All right, so there's that little bit of external rotation on that extended leg. And draw your left knee toward you a little bit more. Maybe you stay here, or maybe you curl your nose toward your knee. And then release down to the earth. Shake out your legs. Maybe rock and roll up and down your spine. Eventually going to make your way to hands and knees. If that doesn't feel good, roll to one side, press yourself up, and let's meet in hands and knees. So knees underneath hips, toes can be tucked or untucked, hands outer shoulder width, apart or wider. And let's move through cat and cow here. So inhale, lift the tailbone, hollow through the lower back, broaden through your collarbones. Exhale, tuck your tailbone under, round through your spine, really press the floor away from you. And then inhale, dip the belly into cow. Exhale, round your spine into cat. So a few more of these undulations on your own time, on your own breath. And as always, if there's any natural movement that would feel really good here, feel free to add on a little wag of the tail from side to side, big barrel rolls through the chest or shoulders. You could snake toward the floor a little bit more. Just move how you need to move for the last couple breaths. And then come back to center. Make sure your hands haven't migrated toward each other. Outer shoulder width apart or wider. Spread your fingers wide. Grip the mat with the fingertips. Little pocket appears in the palm of the hands. And then tuck your toes. Exhale, lift the hips up and back. Downward facing dog. You could pedal your heels here toward the floor and wag your tail from side to side. You might come up onto fingertips on one hand or the other, or both. Last couple breaths here, whether you're moving or still. And then bend your knees. Look forward. On your exhale, walk, step, or hop to the top edge of your mat into your standing forward fold. Knees micro bent or even deeply bent here. You could rest your elbows on your knees or thighs or bring hands to blocks. You could clasp opposite elbows with hands here or sway a little bit from side to side. You could be still. But while you're here, nod your head yes. Shake your head no. Let your head hang heavy, neck long. And if your arms are crossed, take the opposite crossing. And then check in with your knees. Make sure they're not knocking, so they're not caving in toward each other ever so slightly. Can you track them out towards the baby toe edges of your feet? You'll feel that fire up the outer hips just a little bit. And if your arms are bound, release them. And then with fingertips to your shins or blocks or the earth, inhale, a little partway lift, belly button to spine, back the neck long. Exhale, let it all go. Couple more, just like that. Inhale, a little partway lift. Exhale, release. And then bend your knees, tuck your chin in toward your chest, slowly start to roll up to standing. One vertebra at a time, knees bent the entire time, head heavy the entire time. The very last thing that lifts is the crown of the head. Couple loops of your shoulders, up, back, and down. A little wiggle, noodle, or shake out. And then feet hip width apart or so. On your inhale, sweep the arms up to the sky. Exhale, melt into your forward fold. Inhale, little partway lift. Exhale, fold. On your inhale, step your right leg back. Release your knee to the floor or a chip foam block. And on your inhale, come up to low lunge. Now, but if you wish, right, by all means, if you want to go into the yoga variation, feel free to go into the yoga variation. Otherwise, join me back out of the hips a little bit to start with. Hug your legs toward each other. Squeeze the bum like crazy on the back leg. Belly button to spine, shoulder blades on your back, maintaining all that. Then shift into your front knee. Right, so really active squeeze of the bum on that back leg. Back toes could be tucked or untucked. You might just gently rest your palms on the front thigh, but make sure that it doesn't mean that you're squeezing your neck. You might press the palms away from you to send your torso further back, getting even more extension at the hip here. Last couple of breaths. Clasp your hands behind your back. Elbows could be bent or straight, or maybe you use a strap instead to give yourself a little bit more space. And then maybe you keep pressing your thumbs into your sacrum here to lift the heart up. Maybe you slide your knuckles down. Keep squeezing the bum on the back leg. Back of the neck stays long. All right, release your hands. Inhale, back out of the hips. And then exhale, shift your hips back as you extend through the front leg for half splits. Hands could be on hips, or if you have a wall, you could use the wall. Maybe you have blocks you can bring underneath your hands, or maybe your fingertips comfortably reach the floor. If you have a deeper variation of splits, feel free to slide the heel forward wherever you want it to go. And then keep wrapping the outer right hip forward and draw the outer left hip back. Really flare the toes on the front foot and peel them back toward your face. Right? It almost feels like maybe you're trying to drag that front heel back toward you a little bit. Last couple breaths here. All right, on your inhale, come forward, back into that front knee, and then bring both hands inside your front foot. Heel and toe it out a little bit wider, just wide enough that you can have space, right, to bring your hands inside. And then keep that front foot parallel, and then hug your knee in toward your shoulder. Keep your hips high, so you need to back out of the hips a little bit here to start with. Keep the hips high. Exhale, melt the heart low. Now, sometimes you'll get a little bit more space here if you spin that back shin parallel to the short edge of the mat. I've got a weird sort of injury thing going on, so I'm not going to go too deep on this side. You might loop that left arm underneath that left leg, bring the hand to the outside of the foot. You could spread your wings here, or you could bind around the thigh. Again, I'm not going to demo on this side. Keep hugging that knee in toward your shoulder. Last breath here. All right, back out of the hips. Swing that left leg underneath you, hands and knees. Little wiggle, or shake, or cat and cow. And then tuck the toes, lift the hips up and back, downward facing dog. Bend your knees, look forward. Exhale, walk, step, or hop to the top edge of your mat, standing forward fold. Fingertips to shins, inhale, little partway lift. Exhale, fold. Charge your legs, inhale, sweep all the way up to the sky. Exhale, hands to prayer. All right, inhale up to the sky. Exhale, melt to the earth, forward fold. And this time, interlace your hands behind your back. Elbows could be bent or straight. And then maybe you reach your knuckles away from you. Now it's quite challenging here, at least for me, to reach my knuckles so far away, or too far away from me, before the palms start to separate. And then I kind of get into this weird hyperextension thing with the elbows, and I don't know, I don't feel like that's a great place to go all the time on my body. So I'm going to grab a strap and wrap my shoulder blades toward each other to then lift the arms up and away. Keep squeezing your shoulder blades toward each other. Last couple breaths here. And then slowly, gently release your hands. Fingertips to shins. Inhale, little partway lift. Exhale, fold. On your inhale, step your left leg back. Release your knee to the floor or a chip foam block. And then inhale, come up for a low lunge. Shake it out. Go off alignment. Release whatever you need to release. And then back out of the hips. Hug the legs toward each other. Really squeeze the bum on that back leg. Belly bend to spine. Shoulder blades on your back. And then shift into your front knee. Again, back toes could be tucked or untucked. But really squeeze the bum on that back leg. You might press your palms forward to send your torso back. And this is a fantastic place to stay, or maybe you clasp your hands behind your back, opposite interlacing of the fingers, elbows bent or straight. And then you might stay here pressing your thumbs into your sacrum, or you might reach the hands away. Again, I kind of get into that hyperextension thing if I'm not careful. So you might grab a strap if that feels better on your body. Last breath here. All right, exhale, shift your hips back as you extend through the front leg for half splits. Again, hands could be on hips or have a wall maybe, or blocks, or maybe you bring your fingers to the floor. Wrap the outer left hip forward, draw the outer right hip back. Flare the toes on that front foot and then peel them back toward your face even more. Couple more breaths here. And if you have a deeper variation, I hope you've already slid forward. All right, and then inhale, come back into that front knee. Bring both hands inside your front foot. So heel and toe it out enough that you have space to do that. Right, back out of the hips. And then hug that front knee in toward you. Keep your hips high, and then exhale, melt your heart low. So you might stay here. You might spin that back shin parallel to the short edge of the mat. It often gives you quite a bit more space here. You might thread that left or right arm to the outside or underneath the leg and then bring the hand to the outside of the foot. You could spread your wings, or you could bind around that thigh. But again, think hips high, heart low. Last breath here. And slowly back out of the hips. Swing that right leg underneath you. Little wiggle or shake or cat and cow. And then either stay here or tuck your toes, lift your hips up and back, downward facing dog. Bend your knees. Exhale. Walk, step, or hop to the top edge of your mat, standing forward fold. Inhale, little partway lift. Exhale, fold. On your inhale, step your right leg back for warrior two. So that back foot is going to land with either the heel or the back arch aligned with your front heel. Wrap your outer right hip forward, draw the outer left hip back, hug the legs toward each other. Grab your strap if you want one, and then inhale, come up to warrior two. So I know I'm not facing you, but hopefully it doesn't matter too much. Right, so really hug the legs toward each other. Right, supercharge that back leg towards straight, and then look down or look forward. Make sure you can see your front or your big toe inside that front knee. Right, if not, you can even take your hand and wrap that front thigh out and draw it back. Right, so the hips are unlikely to be completely open to the side. They're probably on an angle. And then from here, clasp your hands behind you. Again, the elbows could be bent or straight. Maybe you use a strap instead. And then wrap the shoulder blades toward each other. Inhale here. Exhale, melt the front shoulder inside the front knee for humble warrior. And you might start to reach the knuckles or strap up and away. And then charge the legs. Inhale, come back up. Warrior two. Whoo, a little break on that front knee. Sink back into it. Inhale, lift through the heart. Exhale, melt inside the front knee. Humble warrior. Last one, charge back up. And then exhale, melt inside. And this time as you exhale, bring both hands down to the floor. Lift the back heel. Come onto the toes and then step forward. Standing forward fold. Whew, little wiggle or sway or bounce. Fingertips to shins. Inhale, a little partway lift. Exhale, fold. All right, let's switch sides. On your inhale, step your left leg back. And again, release that heel to the floor, more or less in line with your front heel, or maybe the back arch in line with the front heel. Hug the legs toward each other. Wrap the outer left hip forward. Draw the outer right hip back. Grab your strap if you want it. And then inhale, come up to the warrior two legs. Arms can be here, right, if you want. Again, check in with that front knee. Make sure you can see your big toe on the inside of that front foot. If not, wrap the outer right hip forward, out and back. And then charge the back leg. You want to find the knife edge of that foot. So can you de-weight the big toe on the back foot? And then clasp your hands behind your back, opposite interlacing of the fingers. Maybe your elbows are straight, maybe they're bent, maybe use a strap like I'm going to use today. Wrap the shoulder blades toward each other. Inhale, lift through the heart. Exhale, melt inside your front knee. Maybe you reach your knuckles up to the sky and then charge that front leg, drive through the heel. Inhale, come back up. Warrior two, release that front knee if you need to. Right? Inhale, lift through the heart. Exhale, humble warrior. Drive through that front leg again. Inhale, come back up. Lift through the heart. Exhale, humble warrior. One more breath here. And then release the strap or release your hands to the floor. Spiral the back leg so the heel lifts. And then step forward, standing forward fold. And I know that could look so different for everybody, right? You might come up to standing first and then step. I hear you. It's a lot of work. Little bounce or wiggle or sway. Inhale, little partway lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, sweep all the way up to the sky. And exhale, hands to prayer. Inhale, sweep back up to the sky. Exhale, melt to the earth, forward fold. On your inhale, step your right leg back, this time for warrior one. So shorter stance. And then that back heel can be in whatever angle it needs to be on. So you can really start to wrap that right hip forward and the outer left hip back. Drive through that front heel. Grab your strap if you need it. Inhale, come up to warrior one. Squeeze the bum on the back leg. Squeeze the top of the thigh. And again, can you de-weight the big toe on the back foot? Maybe you stay here. Maybe you clasp your hands behind your back, elbows bent or straight, or maybe you choose to use a strap today. Option to stay here, right? Sinking into that front knee, lifting the heart, or exhale, melt inside the front knee. Humble warrior. A little bit less challenging, I feel, than warrior two. Drive through the front heel. Inhale, come back up. Exhale, melt. Last time. Inhale, up. Exhale, melt. Inhale, come all the way back up. And then bend that front knee. Step forward. Shake it out. And then inhale, sweep up to the sky. Exhale, forward fold. All right, last side. Inhale, little partway lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, step your left leg back. Again, as if for warrior one, back heel can be on whatever angle it needs to be on. So you can wrap your left hip forward, draw your right hip back, and then inhale, come up to warrior one. Sink into that front knee, and then supercharge the back leg towards straight, if that works for you, right? Towards straight is the key term. It doesn't have to be straight. Squeeze the bum on the back leg, squeeze the top of the thigh, clasp your hands behind your back, opposite interlacing of the fingers, elbows bent or straight, or grab a strap. Wrap the shoulder blades toward each other, lift the heart up to the sky. Option to stay here, or exhale, melt inside your front knee, humble warrior. Drive through that front heel again. Inhale, come back up. And exhale, melt. One last time. Inhale up. Exhale, melt. Last breath here. Inhale, come back up. De-weight the back heel. Step forward. Shake it out. Drop your strap. Couple hip circles one direction. And then the other. And then inhale, sweep your arms up to the sky. Exhale, melt to the earth, forward fold. All right, for 3 breaths, inhale, little partway lift. Exhale, let it go. 2 more. Bend your knees, plant your hands, come down to hands and knees. Little wiggle or shake or cat and cow. And then shift your hips on one side. So you can come to seated. As you exhale, roll all the way down to the mat. You can always use your hands for more support on the way down. And then draw your knees into your chest, little rock from side to side. Let's move into a twist. So take your right arm out to the side. Maybe you shift your hips right to start with. And then exhale, lower your knees to the left. This can be as gentle or as deep as you need it to be. Whether you take a single leg twist, knees stacked or legs crossed. You might even look along your right arm just to finish off the spiral in the neck. And then on your inhale, return to center. Reset your pelvis and your spine. Maybe you shift the hips left a little bit. Left arm could go out to the side. And then exhale, your knees to the right. Again, as gentle or as deep of a twist as you need. It doesn't have to be the same depth or even the same variation on this side than you did on the first side. Maybe you look along your left arm just to finish off the spiral in the neck. Last couple breaths here. And then on your inhale, return to center. If there's anything else you feel like you need before your rest, maybe happy baby or spinal flexion or extension, feel free to go where you need to go. Otherwise, make your way into your final resting pose, which could be flat on your back, legs bent or straight in Shavasana. You could rest on your side or child's pose, or legs up the wall could feel really good, or maybe even a seated meditation. And there's absolutely no rush to get there. But once you have found your pose of rest, for 3 breaths, inhale through your nose. Exhale, sigh your breath away. 2 more. And then let go of your breath control. Let go of any last muscle gripping or tension, particularly in your neck, or face, or shoulders. With each exhale, let your body melt a little bit deeper into the earth. And stay here longer if you can, 5 or 10 minutes. Thank you so much for joining me today. Namaste.